Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. Welcome to this edition of 60 Minutes Nigeria. I am Wilson of Marshall, standing in for Rosa or Samudeme Agbola, who is unavoidably absent. Not to worry, next week we'll be here on the ground to tell you more stories, more news, more reports about what is happening in this country of ours in 60 minutes. Yes, well, today is all about the power sector and the recent hike in electricity tariff. We're talking about 225 naira per, is it kilowatt, or how do they measure it? Yeah, it was like, what in the world is happening? Don't forget the inaugural speech of our beloved president. Subsidy is gone. That is from petrol. All of a sudden, we see entering another era of removal of subsidy in the power sector. How do you think Nigerians will cope? Nigerians are complaining, they are crying bitterly about the inability to have or to get at least adequate power supply, constant power supply. And here we are talking about an increment, about saying the people that will be worst hit are the ones that work via estimated billings, that some don't even have prepaid meters, and for what they are saying right now, the price of a prepaid meter has skyrocketed. How many families can really obtain or get prepaid meters from calculation? I'm talking about over 100, over 200 by estimation right now, if my mathematics is correct. Well, with me here in the studio to talk about this, I have an able gentleman. He is a political affairs commentator. He is also one-time a journalist, always a journalist, you know the same. Join me to welcome Honorable NLC Ijubo. Welcome to 60 Minutes Nigeria.
Thank you.
I appreciate your coming.
Thank you.
And of course, an activist, human rights activist, public affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Solomon Ijobe. Solomon, welcome to 60 Minutes Nigeria.
I greet you this afternoon.
All right.
And viewers at home, a very good afternoon this afternoon.
Honorable, now when this report came online, we were thinking it was a joke until there was a conference, a meeting of sort held to really get to hear from the horse's mouth, and it was confirmed that this is a new way to go, because talking about subsidy removal from electricity. When you heard of this report, of this news in a particular conference, what went through your mind, Honorable?
Let me ask, why did they think it was a joke? No, I mean, when the president makes a pronouncement, one thing that is very clear: power is a very expensive sector, and that, to my mind, is extra capital intensive. Again, like they talked about the A, B, C, D, E groups, it's going to affect, according to them, the A group, those who enjoy light like you for 20 minutes, for 20 hours.
Honorable, I do not enjoy power supply. I don't have power supply for 10 minutes.
No, those of us who are on the lowest belt, we're not affected by this increase. But having said that, I just see it as a way to creep into everybody, because subsidy in the power sector is quite huge, especially when the players now are those who are holding Nigeria, giving Nigeria a stranglehold, those who are playing on the power sector now. So for them, it's nice to increase from 66 or 68 to 225. But having said that, that again will have an effect on the economy. People are crying now, but some are saying, oh, it doesn't affect us because we are on the lower belt. But eventually, when you increase the cost of tariff to those who are on the A belt, of course, those things will translate at the end of the day, and they'll take it to the consumers like you and I. So for me, I think it should be a no-go area. And if you're going to increase tariff, it's very disheartening to go from 66 to 25. That's about 300%, which to me is too much. Is too much for anything to make anybody happy. It should have been something gradual. Yes, it must come, because subsidy has been removed. Fine, it must come, but To go from this, that's about 330%.
Yeah.
That to me is
it's quite
high
huge.
Side, on the high side.
All right. Well, Solomon, you've heard Honorable, he said it's quite on the hard side and it's going to translate to people whether they have 20 hours power supply or 18 hours power supply, depends on the calculation, that might just be taken off the table. Is going to get down straight to all consumers whether we want it or not. He also opined that it have been done gradually, maybe in phases. Now, what do you feel about this?
Well, the question is, hearing the word subsidy is mind-blowing. Because I didn't actually know that well that we had that much subsidy or anything like electricity being subsidized. Because I know we generate, and I know we do not generate sufficient power. It's not like crude oil that we import, so we subsidize cost of importations. And so we'll continue to hear that it's another grammar to begin to steal from Nigerians, most likely now, subsidy. Because those who told us in 2015 that there was no subsidy in petroleum products, that the word subsidy was a scam. When they came in 2015, eventually as presidents, by 2016 they already started crying that there was subsidy. So we started asking questions. That's the last two contests. People like this have told us that there was no subsidy. So how come that now there is subsidy? And while they were leaving, we heard the words subsidy removed. And that had taken Nigerians from fry pan to fire as it stands today. And Nigerians can barely feed. Cost of living has skyrocketed, even when the standard of living has since fallen. When the living things can no longer live with the living wage. That's a sympathetic or the pathetic situation of the Nigerian people and the Nigerian state. But I haven't said that, like Malga will usually say. Is there really subsidy? Have there really been subsidy?
From what they said, there is subsidy.
I'm not saying
petrol and of course energy.
Wilson,
Yeah.
you have a right to have said what they said. I have a right to also explain what they said.
You said okay.
So and I'm explaining to say I'm sure you had never had for once that there was subsidy in electricity. Because what we know is that government was assisting transmission companies and generation companies, the one they call Genco and Transco or Trenco. And then that the distribution companies, the one they call discos, are the major problems. The discos are the one you refer to like BDC, EDC, and all of that. And I remember that once upon a time in this country, in the last few years, very precisely, the federal government had issued a strong word or message to all discos to distribute meters free of charge to Nigerians. I'm not sure that got to you. I'm not sure you have free prepaid meters as we speak. Even though you had perhaps requested for. But I can tell you for free that this increment from 60 whatever naira to 200 and something whatever naira is taking immediate effects. That's to tell you that government knows when to steal from the people, but they do not know when to give back to the people. Takes me back to where we are now. Recall that before this administration came in, price of cooking gas was as cheap enough for every Nigerian to at least manage to afford. Just like fuel was also manageable. But since this current administration took over, we are not able to buy fuel again. The pricing is unstable. Even when you get it at a particular price, the delivery, the quantity delivered to you may not be the exact quantity you are paid for at the nozzle. Same thing had happened to gas. Gas also skyrocketed. Now they are telling you that the issue of gas is part of the reasons why they are increasing electricity tariff. Baba, the question I'm asking you, is it wasting on Marshall that generates gas for Genco?
All right.
Or transition companies?
I'll come back to you.
If you, before you take me off,
yes,
let me quickly put it that it is unheard of, it's unethical, unreasonable, uncivilized, and anti-people for any reasonable government at this time of hardship in Nigeria, when Nigerians are just managing to cope with the hardship as created by the so-called subsidy removal that is not truly removed. They are coming with the electricity tariff. And I wonder and I ask, that's a question we'll answer later perhaps, where in Nigeria do you have 20 hours electricity?
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Well, Honorable here has spoken at length, even cast a shadow of doubt on subsidy in the power sector. After all, we have the gas. After all, we depend on our turbine, the water, River Niger. You can say that also. So, really, drawing a question, the doubt he has in his mind, is there really anything like subsidy in the electricity company, in the power sector? Knowing fully well that we are, like what you rightly said, we are the one producing. Are we using fear right now to power the power sector? What is really happening?
It's been said that 70% of generation is by gas, not even water. 70% of electricity generation is by gas. Yes, well, as a very small boy, I used to think that the only way to generate power was hydro. But now with these happenings, I've been told that 70% of generation is by gas. Okay, fine. I also asked the question, we flare gas. We flare gas in this country.
Exactly.
So if we flare gas, why can't we develop a technology
To recycle it.
for us to now contain this gas and use? So very honestly, I think a lot of things are wrong. But we cannot even celebrate because some people, like I said earlier, some people have said, oh, the 225 is for, Belt A. In the Belt A area, are there no poor people there? I mean, he just said, this, okay, all those who are, the whole of this area is meant for the likes of Omasho. Are there no Agarese there? So very basically, there are some people who ordinarily are poor, who are going to live in these belt zones. So if you increase that, even if it may not get to us very soon, but it's one way to just cushion to say, okay, fine, you poor people, don't fight yet. The punishment now is for those people who have money. And that is quite, for me, government just use that to mellow down the situation. Otherwise, if they had just done a flat thing, now by now everybody will fight it. But to say, okay, no, it's not concerned on that yet. I'm putting the word yet.
Yet.
Because it will come there. By the time they test the waters with this zone A or whatever group, they'll come to B, C, D, E. And those of us who belong to E, maybe there will be an F eventually. Basically, until we get there, I think it's not too right at this time. Because people are going through too much suffering. You can't even buy anything. At times, most families are getting disintegrated because they're fighting every day because of one increase in price of one item or the other. So for me, the timing is wrong. The timing is wrong. And if you are going to increase price in any by any form or in any mode, please, I want to advise. I listened to the Labour Congress president,
Yes.
and he made a very, very clear case. And he said, look, at this time, it is not right. Even if he must do it, it has to be a man wakes up today from the man manufactures maybe biscuit. He wakes up only to find an increase of 330%. Well, how can he cope? That's too sudden. That's just too sudden. I know there must be a way to increase. That is clear. I mean, because things are not, you remove subsidy, whether we have heard about it before or not. But the power sector, cost of running power is quite expensive. It's a humongous thing. But for me, my own quarrel, yes, maybe now it's 320%. Take a 50%.
All right.
Take a 30%.
It's about gradual increase.
And graduate it
Okay.
to a point that it could, I mean, it can be absorbed.
All right.
Now it could be a very rude shock on business people, and it will affect everybody, even me and you.
All right. Well, Solomon, you heard Honorable. He said, look, for now, like what they said, we would experience, or let's say, having 20 hours power supply. That these are the categories of persons that this increment is meant for. Here's the word for now. We don't know about the C, D, E, W, and F. We do not know. And you talked about gas. We flare gas almost every day. And we're talking about
Almost.
Every day.
Not almost. I mean,
Every day, every minute, every hour, every second.
and now we were talking about Russia-Ukraine war affecting the price of gas globally. Do you think at least they're making sense in increasing the tariff just to level up?
sorry, my brother. You know, this gas is a local content, and we're selling in dollars. Why?
Solomon, over to you.
We're selling in dollars. Gas.
I will come back to you. I will come back to you. So Solomon,
The Benin will refer to this as Niyomore Sowu.
could you please interpret?
That certain things will happen to a mother. You won't tell her the truth so that she will not go and cry and kill herself. For example, she for any reason she's losing a child. You don't want to tell her
Yes.
breaking the news. You just say something has happened, but it's not necessarily that you won't break the news, like you have said. You break it. But the question is this: who are the, bet A category? In Edo State, in Benin City, do you know them? Outside of Siomo Power Supply, do you know any other power
20-hour power supply.
that get 20 hours power supply? Even the Siomo, I know now that there's even, because of the consumption, people, subscribing to it. It's not as strong as it were. Now, the BDC that we know, which area? Sapler Road, Abi Ugbo, Abi GRA, Abi Aduwawa, Abi Ugbowo, Oluku, Idowina, Upper Mission, Siloko Road, Ekanwa Road. Where is that bet A? Because I want to know. Or they are saying banks. If they are saying banks, they just say banks, so that we know they are talking about banks. Or they say multinationals. And I know that you took that report of GlaxoSmithKline leaving Nigeria, and all the PZ and HZ leaving Nigeria.
Yes.
So I don't know where that bet A comes from. That get 20 hours. That what they are telling us is that 24 hours in a day, there's a section of Nigerians that get -4 hours a day lights. We say, that's a black line, not even close to green. But that's by the wayside. But don't you also see it as irresponsible, responsive of a government, satanic, just to talk. Look at it, Wilson. You, the same government that said you are feeling with the Nigerian people over the hardship as a result of the so-called subsidy removal. Because from the reports we are hearing from the back doors and the investigation so far, that there's still a backdoor payment, maybe not as much as it were.
Yeah.
So we are still in doubt whether there's actually the removal of subsidy, whether it's not an obubu just to blindfold us to get in. While we are still battling with that, the same government who told us that they are buying gas-powered vehicles just to subsidize the issue of transportation, who decided to give billions to states and bags, I think 5 billion to states and 5 trucks of grains to states to subsidize, or if you like minimize the effect, or if you like they like to use one grammar, cushion, whether na foam na gallop foam or na I not go talk the one
Just to put
that
the effect of subsidy removal.
that they are giving you rice in the names of grain that we do not even get on paper, they will tell us that they have 500 trucks coming, and then we will only see 2. We are yet to recover. People are yet to get from the supposed grains and funds dashed out to states by the federal government. The same you always say, "Listen, I dey pity you. You not fat rich. May I give you groundnut oil, may you dey drink, may you for fat." The same government is using syringe on the other side to siphon the supposed groundnut oil that they are giving to you in the name of tariff, because everybody use electricity. It is worse than epileptic. In fact, I can tell you that I'm not sure that in the last 2 days I've had 3 hours electricity in your area.
We're talking about 8 months now.
I just said 3 days. You have told me 8 months. Now they are talking about removing subsidy. Now, isn't it insensible and insensitive of a government that is thinking of doing palliative as a result of trying to cushion the effect of what they are cost as at May 29th? The same government is telling you that they are removing another subsidy that does not exist from electricity tariff that every dick come and Harry use. They may cause more hardship. I'm yet to understand. I am not clear.
Right.
Are we in Nigeria or we are in Ethiopia? Or are we in actually what George Orwell wrote, Animal Farms?
All right, Solomon.
Where some animals are more equal than others.
I'll come back to you, Solomon. I'll come back to you. When he talked about Animal Farm, George Orwell, some animals are more equal than the others. Hence the 20 hours, people that are enjoying power for 20 hours in Nigeria, they seem to be the target. Some are saying that this is counterproductive. Right now, the central bank, Mr. President, the economic team, they put their heads together trying to grapple or fight to make the naira appreciate against the dollar. And here we are, on the other hand, removing subsidy from power, increasing electricity tariff that many persons in Nigeria do not enjoy. I mean, what do you have to say about this, Honorable?
You know, many Nigerians don't enjoy it because, as we speak today, 92 million Nigerians don't have access to power.
They don't.
92 million Nigerians. Of the 12 million Nigerians who have access to power, only 12 million, this tariff increase is going to affect 15%. Yes, I am
By the estimation, sir.
I am at a loss if anybody in this country, anywhere in this country, enjoys 20 hours of light. But I tried to ask questions, and they said to me, yes, some industries do by special arrangement. But having said that, my earlier question, on the line where you have these industries, don't we have poor people around there?
Living there.
So if the same poor people take advantage of the rich people that live there or big industries, and the tariff is now enforced on them, then what happens to them? But having said that, I've always looked at Nigeria. We're talking about generating, at the point it was 1,500 megawatts. At the point it became 3,000 megawatts. We are trying to beef up to 5,000 megawatts. That's an insult to Nigeria. South Africa, with a population of less than 60 million, generate 44,000 megawatts of electricity. South Africa, less than 60 million people. Nigeria, I don't know how many we are, whether we are 250 or 300 or 200. How can we be talking about 5,000 megawatts? So it's, you know, to me, that is again a very funny setting. Nigeria is just a country where people don't even understand anything. Small countries like, even a country like Seychelles, you look at their generation of power. But Nigeria, look at Australia. Australia, with a population of about 30 million, they generate power about 30, thousand megawatts. 30 million people in Australia. They have wind, they have various forms. But here we are in Nigeria, and people just sit down, sit back. I was reading, that these schools have refused to go and collect power from John Jenkins. How would they collect power when the price is astronomical?
It's alarming.
How can they come? So they deliberately don't. They won't go there. They don't, because they will not go and collect. But is it even there? Oh, there is something that's broken down. grid has collapsed. Every day, Wilson, I mean,
We're taking a look at subsidy removal from the power sector, hike in electricity tariff, and I just been talking about this. Though they call their representatives to throw more light on this, the reason behind the increment. Nigerians, they're trying to dissect, analyze the rationale behind the removal, knowing fully well that it is more than 300% increment. I mean, to me, it's like, the highest so far. They've been talking about this. People reacted. It was jettisoned. It was shifted. They keep shifting it until this particular point in time. And I said, look, it is for only people in the category A. That is, if you're enjoying 20 hours per supply, then you're going to pay such an amount. But like what Honorable said, he said, look, don't we have poor citizens living in that same line? How are they going to cope? And how would you have the statistics if you are giving power to companies? How would you know their power consumption? From companies, multinationals, some of them are even in residential areas. So because of multinationals situated there, do you think it would be fair for you to bill everyone that same amount of money? And what is the overall economic implication? And that's what I'm coming to right now.
yes.
Overall economic implication.
No,
we are battling without a fuel, and now you added another one to it. So I'm saying this is like adding salt to injury. How would Nigerians survive?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I said that in the course of my earlier discussions.
Yes.
They would transfer the cost to you and I, because the cost of the ease of doing business, the environment is no more friendly. This environment now is no more friendly. So the ease of doing business in Nigeria
It's not easy.
is just crazy. A man just wakes up only to be hit with a 330% increment on something, on an element which is a factor of production. And the man says, fine, yes, we must survive in business. He goes ahead with his production. Yes, he will factor that, the price of the commodity. And it's you and I that will not pay this cost. So the suffering can be translated and shared amongst Nigerians. But having said that, I think what we should do as a people, see, Nigerians, I don't know if the way we are wired, Nigerians don't know how to protest. Otherwise, it's enough for Nigerians to rise up. I'm not calling for people to rise up, but basically, if a situation, we are very resilient people. Oh, okay, provided we see light they use, if we can, any amount we will pay. Somebody was saying to me, even if they increase it, let us be seeing light. So you see, Nigerians just we are so adaptive to situations. Oh, at least we're going to see light. But I also know that Nigerians, if we get light for 20 hours, I know we can afford to pay, because I run my gen so expensively. The way I run my gen, I have a solar system, but at times the
sun is not,
yes,
here.
I have to power with a generator, and it's quite expensive. So if all these things can be taken away, the inverter, the generator, then you have to okay, pay. Fine, but nobody.
But many people are not in your category.
Nobody can even. We can't even get.
Some can't even afford fuel. They can't even afford gen. They can't talk like solar.
No, Wilson. The issue. I'm not saying that's right, but I say Nigerians. The average Nigerian. Take the artisan, for instance. The man who, the barber, the hairdresser, the vulcanizer. These are persons. If they get light, they can pay money. Because I know my vulcanizer buys fuel to power his machine. But if he gets a system whereby there is light, the cost of buying fuel, if it translates that to cost of generating light, it will pay. But to many people, I think, I have a younger sister, sorry, Wilson, who runs a small salon. I've had to buy her generator about twice. I bought that one, they call it better past my neighbor. But it got to a point that one could not power the things she was doing. So I had to increase it. But if there was light, and they say, instead of paying 66 naira, now pay 100, I'm sure it will be fine.
Okay.
They do fine.
All right. Now, Solomon, over to you. The same question. Overall economic implications, because right now Nigerians are still battling to come out of what subsidy removal in petrol is doing in the society. Thank God that there's a reduction right now in the price of diesel. We appreciate the government for that, but saying increment in tariff, talking about electricity, over 300%. And we are not even seeing what they said we are seeing for 20 hours of a power supply. Overall implication.
Implication is that the suffering has further continued. Nigerian has just become, all Nigerians have now become members of the NYSC. Now, your struggle continues.
Your own definition.
No, you're suffering. No, you're suffering. You're suffering. You're suffering.
Okay. I wanted to be mild. Since the power has given the power to say it, now your suffering continues. Because I just wanted to say the struggle so that it will be a little bit mild that we are still struggling. But listen, it is from fry pan to fire. Look, you've been battling with. There's not been time because, like he explains, tried to make you understand. If you didn't get it, the cost of production is going to be shared by you and I. If you recall, because I remember I watched your documentary on multinational
companies exiting country,
Nigeria.
Yes.
And one of the reasons was that the cost of production in Nigeria is too high. And they were hinging it on petroleum products and all of that. And, you know, it falls back to manpower and everything. Now you have added electricity. So the one they get. The reason why, go and check. Nigeria has about the highest core tariff. Because most of the telecom companies, not most, all of the telecom, that's why they cannot enjoy business here in Nigeria. Because they are always on 24-hour power supply with
generator or
yes,
solar.
Go and check. Go to any of their mouths. You discover they have at least 2-3 plants that switches at interval just to keep costs going. Now, you have now increased the woes. And you are asking of economic implication. Like he asked, do you also import the gas when we flare? It be like banga when you pan them, you don't extract the oil. You dey throw away am, the one where they call shaft inside. Only you wanna come they tell me say that shaft where they throw away after you don't extract oil. Say you they go buy am to take do things. What about those ones where you they do? You they throw away am before? That's the question we are asking. We flare gas. We generate gas. Nigeria made, because you are talking about petroleum products, and that's how we have been quarreling. How can you be a farmer who produces yam and you are going to buy semovita or yam flour from the market, yet you produce yam? Why don't you just get a processing machine so you can process your yam to become flour and then you can preserve them? That's the same place. So you're asking me of economic impact. It's making me think that maybe you are not in Nigeria, you're in Senegal or you're in Canada. All of us now are in Canada, you know. But the point is this: the economic effect will be worse, much more biting than we have ever had or ever seen. Because we're just only battling with fuel. Now we're going to battle with electricity. And you know what it is? You have given this, because I'll talk about my region, I'm not talking of ECO, I'm talking of the BEDC. You are telling them now to go out, all out, for the consumers that have been suffering before.
But I said it's for grade A consumers. 20
leave this in.
There's actually hours. After all, like what you opine, you said some persons that there's no one in a state that enjoys 20-hour power supply. That's what you said.
Listen, later tomorrow, you will know that you are one of those using grade A.
No.
That you have been using.
You've got to be kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. Listen, let me tell you. A few months ago, I read in fact, a few years ago, I read when NEC, National Electricity Regulatory Commission, ordered that nobody should buy any disco, pole, wire, or transformer. That's the solution for that for all of them. It's part of the whole arrangement, full package for them. A few months ago, the same NEC reiterated that position and published it. But listen, it's like I heard just now you said your transformer got bad. I'm sure you have also, it has also been mentioned to a hearing that you are expected to donate to buy transformer. We're talking as if you are not in Nigeria. We're talking facts here, not fallacy. The truth remains. Now, when water touches the sponge, you must touch the man using the sponge. That's where we are. The effect is going to be worse. Because you cannot expect to buy a tin of milk. I was asking how much is a pack of noodle. The one they call, is it Belefu, a big hungry man? The big one, that big pack. I don't even know the name. And the woman was saying this one is 700 and the other is 1,200. I said the carton. He said, you know the chopping to me, that make you don't understand. He said for one. I said for one, 1,200. He said yes. You are laughing. But that's just to tell you that with this new electricity tariff, that pack of Indomie that they were selling for 1,200 at yesterday is likely to go to 520 naira. You know why? They've increased electricity tariff by 300 and something percent. And so when they put that 300 and something percent in this their production cost.
So I'm saying that we don't really depend on Nigerian power supply. They use diesel. And the price of diesel has reduced a little bit.
No, let me ask you, how many times federal government has increased fuel and reduced it that ticket driver reduced their bus fare?
All right.
Can you tell me? Okay. It doesn't exist. Whatever goes up in Nigeria never comes down. You know when they say what God cannot do does not exist.
All right. I will come back to you, Solomon. Now, what do you think should be the response of Labour and, of course, TUC? Though they are talking right now, should we be expecting a showdown like what they did when there was an increment in fuel pump price? They went on a protest. The federal government came and said, look, we're going to give you palliatives, and that really suited them. They're talking about minimum wage. You see them coming out hard on the street, or they're going to go negotiating with NEC or the federal government or whoever is in charge of this power situation.
Yeah, my take clearly, there could be an increase. There could be an increase, but not 330% increase at a go. Yeah, one understands, because like I said, even though gas is our own product. Gas is our own product. But again, the midstream, whatever they call it now, they have increased the cost of gas. And 70%.
But we have this gas. No, but if you agreed to that, we have the gas.
Don't we have petrol? Don't we have petrol?
No, sir. Don't we have crude oil here? No, from where petrol is a byproduct?
No, even the petrol. You know, some small who have they refine petrol.
They just told us now that those states got 15,000.
So basically, but it's still expensive. Okay, let's use the word crude now. We have crude oil, but again, we cannot do anything with it. We have crude oil. It's like taking cocoa from Nigeria to the UK. They'll make Bonvita and bring for us. Our cocoa, take it to London.
Make chocolate and bring.
They will make chocolate and bring to us. So having said all of this, I think we need to, Nigerians must wake up. There must be a way to show resentment, because we cannot be conformist all the time. You know, just conform, okay, it doesn't matter, provided we can get it. No, because every family is feeling the pinch. Everybody, even the rich now are crying. They're also crying. So for me, this increase is one mistake too many.
One mistake too many.
Yes,
because it's going to rub in on everybody. People are going to cry. You just talked about Indomie just now. Even though I was happy with what he said, it will come down to 560 from 1,200. I
didn't say 560. I said 5,020.
Okay.
What now?
Yes, now.
So, but having said that, those who make Indomie, which used to be one common meal those days, I was watching one
Advert.
post. One post. One man was going to buy sardine. He said he bought the sardine a few months ago for 400.
And there were two fishes.
He said now the sardine is now 1,300.
And there's now one.
So so things are going to be expensive, and the end users are you and I, poor people. For the rich people, yes, they can afford to buy at any cost. But the majority, I mean, if 90 million Nigerians don't have access to light, and of the 12 million that have access to light, they have epileptic supply.
Worse.
So where do we go from here? So things are not working the way they should be. When Michelin left Nigeria about 15, 20 years ago, people were shouting. They didn't just leave because of production. They left because the environment was not even friendly. So if you now further make the ease of doing business unattractive, then of course more people will leave Nigeria, and that will create more economic problems for Nigerians. So for me, I think government should look at the cumulative effect of all of this. Otherwise, we'll run into a system where the unforeseen will not be visible, and that will make a situation whereby all of us will be fighting for survival. NLC has raised a point, and I agree with them. Even though it's not affecting everybody now, but I want to think that the government is going to test the water.
Test the water.
So if they stabilize on that, deceive you for 20 hours, maybe they'll come to 16 hours, they'll come to 8 hours, they'll not come to our own level, 0 hour. Then we'll not be in trouble. So for me, I think government should just have a rethink.
Yeah.
Go back to their own, look for other ways
Okay.
of making money, so that this increase should, please, for God's sake, it should come, but it should be gradual.
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 But do you see them going back to the negotiation table to negotiate this tariff? Because
No, it depends on how the labor looks at it.
because right now, from what he said, he gave reasons why there is this increment. Of course, he mentioned gas. Talk about global market forces and all that. That's the reason why we just can't afford to continue, according to him, give power in this cheap rate. We have to, demarcate. We have to strategize. We have to build them according to categories. Do you see them going back to rethink, to renegotiate for Nigerians to at least smile? Because over 300%, come on, Solomon.
We see they will negotiate. They will negotiate for 300%. And to talk about labor.
300% what? They will negotiate for what?
300% increase.
Oh, in what?
In the NLC tariff.
Okay.
To bring it down.
Yeah, it's about 320 now.
Yeah, yes.
They will negotiate for 300%. That's how it's usually done. They will test it. I agree with the word, they test the waters. And then they'll come back to a negotiating table. There will be a few brown and white envelopes going around. If you like, Ghana must go. If you like, you call it national standard. And then there will be official gazetting. And then that will cushion the effect of the table of the rumorless. And then they will realign and re-agree from 320 to 300%. And then come and speak grammar to you as Nigerians. I don't see NLC as working for Nigerians. As much as I do not agree with the position of Mr. President that NLC is not the voice of Nigerians, I do not as well also, see it as though he was correct. You understand? NLC most times we call on protests, high hopes for Nigerians that they are going to speak in the interest of the Nigerian people. And while Nigerians are already looking forward to something good coming out from there, they will dash their hopes. After the midnight and the open door meetings, was it not in the face of NLC, subsidy was, in quote, removed, and petroleum product left from 100 and something to 1,000, and then came down to 700, and then came down to 640, from 64 naira to 1 something, and then went to 1,000. And you understand what I'm saying? This is analysis. Yes, they will throw it up and then wage it at a point, and then use brown envelope and white envelopes to cushion the effects. And then the rumorless will eat and do the public address, and then they'll come back and tell you. Otherwise, if NLC was not a toothless bulldog, with all due respect, we would be in this quagmire that we are in. In all of this, it is just an avenue for a few to make money and go back home. It's that time. Nigerians take their destiny in their own hands.
Yeah,
we may not be calling for outright protest by Nigerian people. But it's enough for Nigerians to come out and speak, not NLC. Because for me, I'll ask and I'll tell you. Let me give you an example. A few weeks ago, if you like, about a month ago, we had a protest in town talking about, we called it hunger strike, by organized labor and civil society movement. What happened? Our agreement at our table of agreements while we were agreeing to go on protest was that day 1 and day 2 would be nationwide protests with civil society actors and NLC across the country. While day 3, NLC will call for like a warning strike. What did we get? After the day 1 protest, NLC came back on our review table to say any state that cannot do protest should go and do press conference. And that's how it died natural death. Point being made, I'm talking as, because we have watched closely and we see how it happens. I do not have, just as many of my colleagues will tell you, we do not have confidence in NLC leading any negotiation on behalf of the Nigerian people, because they have soiled their hands before now and they'll continue to soil their hands.
All right, not to worry. Maybe we'll get a rep from the NLC to really talk on this particular topic about soiling their hands. So we're going to put that under investigation, so to speak. You are speaking from your own angle. Yes, we don't understand. Of course, they have the right of reply. If you don't agree with Solomon's own stand, you have a right to reply.
And I'll be very willing to be with them on set.
Hold on, Solomon. Come to ITV. Definitely will give you that particular right to respond or to react to Solomon's allegation, saying that you guys have soiled your hand. But his own comment, we want to hear from you. Just come to ITV. Definitely, we're going to express or allow you to express yourself with this particular, in line with this accusation. Well, Honorable, you're going to have the last line on this discussion because our time is up. What advice do you have for NEC, the federal government, Nigerian citizens, even the NLC, that are really warming up to say, no, this thing is too much?
Yeah, for the federal government, like I have said, yes, renege, go back. I have said this over time, that I am not against increase in tariff, provided there is an increase in efficiency. Once there's an increase in efficiency, of course, you can increase tariff. And Nigerians will not even bother. If from 66 to 100, I will now get an increase in number of hours of service, perfect. But for a 300%, 330% increase at a go, for me, that's not nice enough. Having said that, my brother, Nigerians, the NLC is one organization. There are Nigerians who are there. They are not angels. They are not angels. If the NLC calls out a strike now, and the federal government decides to shoot and kill a few of them, we who are not in the NLC will say, we'll send them. So until Nigerians learn to join a protest, don't say the NLC. If the NLC calls off a strike, Nigerians should join. Nigerians should join, not just leave it for the NLC. Nigerians, all of us should join and make sure, if NLC is on strike, the private sector will be working and only government people are on strike. Everybody should go on strike.
All right.
Not just leave it NLC and say it's there. Me and you and everybody should go on strike.
Right, okay. Thank you so much. Solomon, our time is up. I know you have one or two to say, but honestly, you have a right of reply. Yeah, I've said that already severally, but come on, over 300% increment. Think about it. This should be renegotiated. Gentlemen, once more, I appreciate a wonderful analysis.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's it from us here in the studio, saying have a wonderful day ahead. Bye for now.